is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way. Hey everybody, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Ability to Influence podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hopper, and I've got a very exciting show for you guys today because I get to interview one of my very close friends. She is a professional speaker. She's an author. She's a multi-million-dollar spokesperson and actress, and she brings so much compassion and understanding and knowledge and influence to the table. And I know that she is going to drop some nuggets in here today on this podcast that if you will receive them, they will absolutely change your life. So without any further wait, I would like to introduce you to my good friend, Miss Alli Mang. Alli, welcome.
It is a pleasure to be here, Steve. That was quite an introduction. I do hope that I can measure up to it. You are such a leader, and I love hanging out with you anytime. Today is no exception.
Well, listen, I am so humbled to have you on here today because I know you got a lot going on right now, and even though we have been in quarantine for some time now, that hasn't slowed you down at all. You've been rocking and rolling. I'm seeing all the things that you're doing on social media. I know that when we hop on the phone and catch up with each other every now and then, both of us have always got something going on at that moment, staying busy. So, what a great relationship you have been to me. We met years ago at one of my events, the $100,000 handshake, and you flew in from Canada. You were there with one of our mutual friends at the time, had invited you to come and check out this event, and you and I connected, and you came up to me at the end, and we just connected on a really, really high level, and we've done some awesome things together since then. I've brought you down here to speak at my events, and you've even emceed some of my events for me, and you've keynoted at some of my events, and then you've had me up there to Canada and got me featured on TV at 100 Huntley Street in front of millions of people promoting the book and sharing my story, and it's just been an absolute blessing to have you in my life. So I'm so excited that you're here today, and I know we're gonna share some things with everybody that's watching today that's gonna be life-changing for some people. I'm excited to dive into your story a little bit. So welcome.
Oh my gosh, thank you. The first thing I want to say is the ability to influence. You have had that the first minute that I met you, which of course you were on stage and I was sitting in the audience. And it was that ability to communicate, to touch us deeply, not just on the surface, get right into. And I think that is one of the gifts that you have, that ability to connect and, as you call it, to influence as well. But, a lot of people can influence.
Right.
But, it comes and goes. It doesn't stick. But your ability to influence sticks with people because you talk to our hearts. You talk to us. You're not just surface value. And I think that is the biggest difference. And when I saw you on stage that first day of a 2-day conference, I just was thinking, holy moly, I have seen some of the best speakers in the world. And I had Steve up at that top echelon with the rest of them because of the sincerity, because of the incredible story, and because there is no, I don't know if can I say it, there's no BS with you. And that's just so important. The platitudes and all of that, it's a bunch of noise.
Right.
And I think particularly today, in what we're all going through as a nation, as a community, as a world, We want to hear the real stories, and we
Yeah.
want to know, as Oprah Winfrey says, and I'm quoting her, but it's one of my favorite quotes: do you see me? Do you hear me?
Mm.
Does what I say matter to you?
Wow.
And that is what you, Steve Hopper, do to us.
Oh my
You
goodness.
make us feel like we matter.
Come on now. Listen, I appreciate that,
I'm
and
telling you.
I appreciate that. But coming from you, like extremely humbling, because you're that person. All right, you are that person that walks into a room, you light up a room, you get people's attention. You are the perfect avatar of what I talk about when I'm out speaking and I'm talking about influence, or when I'm working with my coaching clients and helping them become more influential out there in the marketplace. You are the avatar of somebody that gets people's attention when you walk in the room. But listen, here's the deal. Alli, there's so much more to just the energy that you bring when you walk into the room. There's a story there, and like everybody that's watching this right now or listening to this right now, they have a story, they have a message, they have life experiences, and those life experiences do shape us, and they do get us ready for ultimately what it is that we're supposed to go and do and accomplish while we're here. And you've had some things that have happened. How many books have you published at this point?
I have 3 published books. One of them is also an audiobook, which was probably one of the most creative ventures of my life. And as you said, I've been an actress for a number of years. I'm also a professional singer, and I've done lots of different things in through that, including selling steel. Did
Wow.
I ever tell you
No, no, you never
that?
told me that you sold steel. That's
Of course.
crazy.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. So you
I
so you were on Home Shopping Network up in Canada. I think it was called something a little bit different up there, but like you were one of the top TV spokespeople that there is. I mean, you sold millions upon millions of product on video. And I'm going to talk to you about that a little bit more in detail a little bit later, because right now, with everything going on, video is key. Like, we need to be using video to grow our business, to market ourselves, to get our messages right in front of more people. And I know that you've given me some tips on video. It's funny because as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the camera, I just keep reminding myself, keep your head down, keep your head down, keep your head down, right? Because I used to do this thing where I'd put my head back and I would talk to the camera like that. And then you came down and you gave me some lessons. Or matter of fact, you gave me these lessons when I was up in Canada with you. And you were like, Steve, listen, you got to keep your head down and you got to look into the camera and you got to speak directly to that person that's on the other end of that camera. And now I can't get it out of my head. So anyways, but we're going to get more into the video stuff here in just a few minutes. But I want you to talk a little bit more about your books. Tell everybody what the books are, what they are about, and obviously, I would love. I've got all of your books here on this bookshelf, and they're absolutely phenomenal. Start with the first book that you wrote, because I think that's going to be great for all of our entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah, and the first book was actually exactly out of what you just said. My live selling. I did it for over 10 years, and I think year 4 I decided I don't think there's any book out there that really teaches a VP of sales who comes on air to sell the product,
Mm.
a comedian who's hired to come and sell a product, a police officer who's really good at connecting to different people who comes on and sells product. So it was a book to capture a lot of different people who had exceptional knowledge, but it wasn't focused to this. And I always say, you have to have a certain amount of grounded qualities to do, this particular thing. But you still have to be able to retool what you do. And you're right, it's a very specific art. So my first book was called Sold Out: How to Reach Your Full Potential in Sales. And I think we did two different versions. The first version is the one you're going to show. That's called How to Sell Out on the Worldwide Shopping Channel Stage. And that is the book there. It's a very thick book. A lot of people have called it the encyclopedia of selling live on air. And I really take care of a bunch of different experts. Thank you very much. I love it. Who want to sell on air and want to not only sell products, but the most important thing is to know that people buy us first. It doesn't matter what we're selling. I could be selling this beautiful pen, but and I could tell stories about it. I could ensure that I'm talking to the grandmas of the world and the daughters of the world and the grandchildren of the world and even a curmudgeon who will be interested in different things about this pen than maybe the romantic who wants to write a love letter. But the bottom line is people buy me first before the product. And then they go, well, what the heck she's selling? And if you're able to connect to the need of your customer, because not everybody is there to buy the pen,
Right.
but they are interested. Okay. And so the idea is always, let's make sure that you are engaging. Let's make sure that if people are tuning in, I consider them a maybe customer. And
Yeah.
my job is to turn maybe to yes.
Yeah.
And that's really the idea. And it's in a genuine way. It's in a very genuine way that's based on real needs and connecting to each of our customers.
Product is always you. You're what they're buying and you're what they're not buying. I love that. So, sold out. Um,
Yes.
doesn't matter who you are. If you're in sales, you need to read this book. It's going to give you some tips, obviously, especially when we're talking about selling on video, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And I talk to a lot of my clients that you know it's so important to that first minute to just connect. To connect with what you're talking about, connect with your audience, and the best way to do that is specifically know who you're talking to. And I have a number of different sales strategies within that book that I grandfathered into my second book, which is called Your First Moment Earns You More Moments: How
Ooh,
to Stand Out in Today's Job Market.
that would be this
There's
one.
the second one. And that is sort of a good Uber version of the first book, because the first book is, like I said, it's an encyclopedia of everything you want to know about selling.
Yeah, it's a
This
pretty
one
thick book.
allows you, yeah, this one opens it up a little bit more, but the principles of knowing that you are selling yourself first and the idea of thinking of yourself as a brand and
Mm.
understanding what that means and the power of that and the power of influence, as you so eloquently always speak of. So that's a really good book. And that also is an audio book for people who enjoy that. I know I love audiobooks as well.
Yeah. And then the third book.
Oh, my third book,
Yeah.
yes. So this was a complete 180. This is a novelette. It is my force of life, living through the loss of a loved one. It is a book about the loss of my mom. We admitted her on Monday, and the next Monday she died.
Mm.
And a few years later, my sister took her own life in 2006. So, understanding about what it's like to have to deal with adjusting to new normals in a quick time frame, not unlike what a lot millions and hundreds of thousands of people are facing right now
Right.
in our COVID-19 experience.
Mm.
So my third book it's a short book, but it helps you through that you're not alone, that you have the right to feel anything you are feeling as you grieve through, because I think the bigger we feel, it's because we've loved the deeper.
Right.
So it's part of our love for that person that we go through. And I really felt I wanted to write this book. Actually, Steve, it's funny, it took me 17 years to write that book. I'll
Really?
never forget. Yeah, I remember at the hospital through the 7 days, I decided I do not want to forget anything about this experience, because even though I was so sad, I knew Mom was teaching me a really good lesson about life and the circle of life, and what we must do day in and day out is to just literally make the most of life.
Mm.
And I know there were so many platitudes about that, but I wanted to really understand, well, what does that mean?
Right.
And so every night I went home from the hospital and I did Cole's notes of it. And in fact, on the first page of that book, I took a snapshot of point form, the smells, what it felt like, what it looked like, what people said, so that I would never forget it. And
Yeah.
that is the book that I extrapolated out.
Wow. Wow. So 3 powerful books. I want to recap those again. Sold Out, How to Sell on the Worldwide Shopping Channel Stage. But again, this is for everybody that's in sales, especially if you're using video. Your first moment earns you more moments. And then, of course, My Force of Life. So, guys, go. All of those can be purchased on Amazon, right?
They can indeed. And they can also just go to my website, allimang.com. Just go to the product section and they're all there as well. But there is a little bit of good news. I'm going to retool the first and the second book together to make it, the principles that were there, all the sales machines are the exact same, the principles behind that, but to just update it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's amazing what 5 years can do,
Oh,
how technology changes. So
I
it's
know.
really important. And you and I are going to talk about that after.
Absolutely. It's funny because I look at my first book, From Prison to Purpose, and I think, that book was written 5 years ago, and I just think how much has evolved since I actually sat down and wrote that book. So yeah, maybe there'll be another version of that coming out in the near future.
Yeah,
But
for
got to
sure.
finish this
I
other book
also,
first.
yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
speaking of books, um, you've had an exciting project going on. I was blessed with the opportunity to be part of it. I was one of the people that you interviewed during this process, and you have partnered with. Am I not mistaken? Just a few other people or one other person. Who exactly did you partner with on this project? And tell everybody what this project is all about, because it is going to be amazing.
well, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yes, you were on my list of one of the first people I wanted to talk to. This book, it's going to be an ebook open to everybody, and it's going to be called The COVID Chronicles: How the World Got Through the 2020 Pandemic. And what I did was I put a list together of the friends of mine who are deep thinkers, who are folks that have been through some really tough times through their life. And I wanted to talk to them. And I wanted to talk to them because we're regular people. And I didn't want to have stars and all the other stuff that we're all impressed with, because real people also have impressive stories and also are deep thinkers.
Right.
And those are the people I wanted to talk to. And as it turns out, they all have to be my friends.
Yeah.
So I got you all organized. What we did is we interviewed and we put this ebook together that actually I'm putting together as we speak. There are 71 stories of deep
Wow.
thinkers like yourself who share ideas, what they've been through, how they're using what they went through to what we are all as a world, as a community are going through. And this book is, it's not positive stories, but it definitely has a spin of positivity, of solving problems, just like we do in sales.
Yeah.
You know, we make sure that we show this pen and we point out all kinds of different ways that it will help you. And that's what the COVID Chronicles is all about. Very exciting.
Nice.
And I brought one of my friends on, Louise Camilleri, to do the interviews, whom you met when we did our
Yeah.
interviews together. But I have put together a team of writers because my timeline is very tight.
Right.
So we are now transcribing and putting all of your pieces together. And our timeline is August to have it all finished. And there'll be a
Nice.
live link that all of the participants will have the chance to just spread it to their community. Our goal, Steve,
Yeah.
within 6 months is to have well over $250,000, 250,000 people who have seen this link. We're also going to partner
Mm-hmm.
with some charities that are
Nice.
frontliners and those charities to help, so that people who want to go, the link will be free, but if they want to also donate money to the charities that we've aligned with,
Right.
then it is always something that is great. I think that the beauty of this, and I think as we started through this crazy pandemic and the worry and the anxiety and what's happening, da, 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 the one thing that was the baseline was this sense of community
Mm.
and kindness, and people just linked arms. And what I wanted to do was to capture that. And I know now we're getting back to normal life. People are starting to shut doors. People are, we're not as available as we were,
Right.
but we really aren't.
Right.
But I wanted to keep that essence because you'll remember, I mean, if I started organizing those interviews now, 2 months later,
Yeah.
no one would be available.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. And there's a story behind everything. So there's also a story behind this COVID Chronicles.
You
And
want me to share that?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's important because Alli, there's a lot of people out there right now that are really, really struggling. And even though things are, as we speak right here, right now, things are starting to open back up a little bit. Everybody's still scared for the most part. A lot of people are. People are really walking lightly, I guess you could say, and stepping back out there. And but during, especially when we were on lockdown and things to that effect, people were losing their jobs. They were questioning their futures and where they were headed, and financial ruin happened to some. And there's a lot of hurt around COVID-19 and things that happened during COVID-19. Not to mention all the lives, obviously, that were lost from it. But you had a moment during this. And it's really that moment is kind of what led to creating the COVID Chronicles. So, will you tell everybody and share with them a little bit about that?
Yeah, I would be happy to, and thank you. Um, about 2 weeks into the lockdown, I found the first couple of weeks we started going, okay, we'll clean the house, we'll organize this, didn't we? We got busy thinking, oh, it's not going to be that, it's going to be fine. And about 2 weeks into it, it just like came crashing down on me. And as you well know, Steve, and you have been a part of my success story in building my business in Florida specifically, but in the States, I had lawyers working up an E1, which allowed me to cross the border, not that anytime I wanted to. As a Canadian, we're limited to cross the border.
Right.
We're only, half a year is all we get. And, if you're doing business in the States, you got to be ready to go whenever. So I had lawyers and I had businesses. I had an amazing client in Hawaii that we were going to build her brand up, and on and on and on. And as you well know, as an agent, I was representing musical talent and all kinds of different, so all of that was building. I gave myself 3 years to get it on the ground, and I had just entered my third year. So it was looking so incredible. This is a story that many, many, many businesses have experienced. So as soon as this pandemic happened, the borders were closed and everything vanished like that. And so about 2 weeks after this all started, I went under the covers, and I went into, a pretty dark time, actually, until one friend about a week later called me and said, Alli, you got to do something different. We can't have you doing this. You cannot do this anymore. And she just said, I'll call you tomorrow. And I said, you know what? I agree. I have no idea how I'm going to pull myself out of this, but I will make this promise to you. I will at least agree to make different mistakes.
Mm.
And she was like, okay. And for me, it was I unleashed everything. I thought, you know what? Even if I don't make the right choice, I'm going to make different mistakes.
Right.
And that it gave me, literally, I felt unshackled. And right away, I thought of, well, now what am I going to do here? Well, for sure, I want to help others. So that's number one.
Okay.
And then I was watching an interview with Nelson Mandela. It was an old interview a long time ago. And Oprah, I go back to my dear Oprah, she asked him, so, you were in prison for decades. You have every right to be an angry man. You have every right to be, how are you able to be so happy? And he had a much more eloquent answer than I will say. But my takeaway was it was my choice, and my freedom never was to be taken from me. And I thought, mindset. So I quickly turned and I said, I want to help people. Let's talk to other people to find out what they're going through. And I wanted to talk to people who are good at spinning things up. And I'm not saying platitudes and face value, working it from the inside out.
Right.
And that's how COVID Chronicles started. And you were one of our first guests. And I think your essay is going to be epic. I think it's going to be 5,000 words.
Oh, really? That's awesome. That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, I saw some of the other people that you were interviewing, and I know you, Alli. Obviously, you like to connect with influencers, and you know how to connect with influencers. So there's no doubt in my mind that the COVID Chronicles is going to be absolutely life-changing and impacting for a lot of people. So when that's released in August, make sure that you guys go and take advantage of that. So, Alli, the ability to influence. You're an influential person. You surround yourself with influential people. What is the key? What is the one key trait that you believe somebody must have if they want to become that person that has the ability to influence others?
Good question. Good question. It's what I talk about in the COVID Chronicles.
Okay.
And this was my take on it. We have to believe that we matter in this world. And to me, that's what we spend most of our lives trying to figure out. How do I matter? I love this quote, and I shared it with you, and I've shared it a lot because it's one of my most favorite quotes of all. Mark Twain, he says, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, I love that one.
I do too.
Yeah.
And it is key. And if you think about it, insecurities are born from, do I matter?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay? Am I doing okay? Feeling not without confidence. It's a version of that all the time. So that finally, if we can get to the point with what we're doing with our lives, with the choices that we're making, with the follow throughs that we are, moving forward to, and the dreams that we're moving towards, if we can really come to at peace with that, those are the nuggets to me that says I matter. My life matters. What I'm choosing to do matters because I'm helping people. I want to connect with people. We want to grow together. I mean, my big thing, and you and I think we probably came up with it together. It's like, look, I don't care whoever gets to the top of the influence. I'm dragging all my friends with me.
That's right.
Because I don't want to be alone, and that's what we do. It's a community. It's that circle. And if ever I needed a reminder of that, or at least something that really, really triggered that, it is the COVID Chronicles that I'm creating right now, because I'm linking with 70 people who said yes. That's the first thing. Say yes.
Say yes.
And then start to make decisions and choosing to say yes more and more to opportunities.
Right.
It's choice, decisions, and saying yes and being available, and stop outlining how's it all going to work. Just show up.
Just show up. I love it. All right. So that kind of leads me to my next thing, and we'll close out and we'll leave everybody with this. Excuse me. Allergies. Don't worry. I'm good. I'm clean. Anyways. All right. So that leads me to my last question for you, and we'll close out with this today, Alli. People are contemplating what their next direction is right now. There are a lot of people contemplating their next direction. What do you say to those people when it comes to, because you just talked about the fact that we matter, and you talked about Mark Twain's quote, figuring out why you were born and what you're here for. What do you say to the people right now that are contemplating still what direction that they're supposed to head in now?
Reinvest in yourself. Take this time right now, this pause that we are all facing, certain degrees, more others, some are still working and others are without. But reinvest in yourself, reinvest in some of the ideas that you had and look at them from a different angle. Allow yourself to become anew through this pause. Allow yourself to make different mistakes. You won't believe how much freedom you'll get from that.
Yeah. Powerful.
That would be my advice.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. Well, Alli, listen, it is always a pleasure anytime I can be in your space. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're a blessing. I know you're a blessing to everybody you come into contact with. So, guys, listen, y'all need to go connect with Alli. Go follow her on social media. Go to her website, allimang.com. You can get her books there. Follow her on social media so you know when this COVID Chronicles is going to come out. And I can tell you, if you're looking for a great speaker, if you're looking for somebody that you can engage with that will lift you to another level, I can tell you she's done a lot for me in my business and in my career. And I know connecting with her would do a lot for you as well. After all, this is the Ability to Influence podcast, and she is one of those people that has the ability to influence. So, Alli, thank you once again for your precious time today.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much, Steve. It was a hoot.
Yeah. And guys, listen, thank you for your precious time. It's the biggest asset that you have, and it goes so quick. And you gave some of that precious time to us today. We thank you and we love you for it. Don't forget to go and check out more at stevehopperspeaks.com. If you guys are looking for a speaker, virtual, I'm ready, baby. Let's do this. If you want to get some people fired up and ready to go, reach out to me. Go to stevehopperspeaks.com. Check out booking. See some of the other stuff that we've got going on as well. God bless you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
That is true success in life, when you become part of somebody else's testimony. I want to talk to you about taking your business and your life to the next level. Success in business and success in life is greatly dependent upon our ability to influence others in a positive way.